This video is sponsored by NUX. Hi there, Perfecto de Castro here and welcome to my channel. I hope you're having a great day. In this video, we are going to get a little loopy with the new NUX Dual Loop Stereo. No! The Dual Loop Stereo is the latest flagship looper pedal from NUX. As the name suggests, it's kind of a two-in-one pedal. You get two stereo loop engines. And not only do you get a dual looper, you also get dual drum machines as well. So each looper can sync to its own drum track. You can use the Dual Loop Stereo in three modes. A or B split, which is basically a dual loop setup, track 1 and track 2. You can switch between track 1 and track 2 depending on the buttons that you press. That way you can have, let's say, two parts to a loop performance. The next mode is A+B Sync. In this mode, tracks 1 and 2 syncs to the same drum machine pattern, but you have individual control over each track. So for example, you can record your main rhythm tracks on track 1, bass and rhythm guitar. And then on track 2, you can record incidental parts like background vocals or another guitar part that you can fly in and out during your loop performance. And then the third mode is the gig mode, which is basically the dual looper without a drum machine. And in this mode, you can import your own wave file loops in each track and use that as a live performance instead of the drum machine. The Dual Loop Stereo also has extensive ins and outs. There's a combo jack where you can use XLR or quarter-inch cables, plus there is a 48-volt phantom power switch to power your condenser microphones. And since we're operating in stereo, that combo jack is assigned to the right channel. The left channel is your regular quarter-inch guitar input. Next, you have quarter-inch left and right outputs. And then there's a host of 1/8-inch mini jacks for auxiliary inputs, MIDI in, MIDI out, and headphone out. And then next to the power barrel is the quarter-inch TRS jack for the extension 2-button foot switch, which already comes with the Dual Loop Stereo. And then on the side, you have your USB-C port for file transfers and for OTG audio streaming. Speaking of OTG audio streaming, that is actually how you're hearing this whole setup right now. I have the Dual Loop Stereo plugged USB-C OTG into my Action 4 camera right here, and all the audio is being recorded straight embedded in the video, which is a great setup for live loop artists who want to record their live sets with great audio already baked into their video clips, ready to share. Big thanks to NUX for sponsoring this video and for being such a great friend and supporter of my channel. As always, I will put all the relevant affiliate links in the video description. So if you want to pick up your very own Dual Loop Stereo pedal, please use these links to go gear shopping and help us keep making these videos for everybody to enjoy. Thank you so much. Now for the next few minutes, I'm going to play Loop Artist and show off the different modes of the NUX Dual Loop Stereo. Okay, let's start with A/B split mode with the drum machine. Now I am on preset 1. I have to mention that the Dual Loop Stereo comes with 99 presets with massive recording time and storage. In fact, you can treat the Dual Loop Stereo as a standalone audio recorder. You can record up to 90 minutes of stereo recording on a single track and 26 hours of audio recording total for the entire unit. So you can run whole shows with this, but we'll touch on that a little more later on. So A/B split mode is dual stereo loop tracks with their own drum machine patterns. So the leftmost button is assigned to track 1, the middle button is assigned to track 2, and the control button is for start and stop and clear. So right now out of the box, the Dual Loop Stereo is set to record right away. Okay, and we don't need that, so let's go into the menu, press the right menu button, then we'll scroll through record. Okay, press that in, and I want to choose pre-beat. That way we have a count in to get us ready to record our loop. And then you can press the drum style button to activate the drums, and then set the tempo. Okay. Then if you long press the drum style button, we get into drum editing mode. And then from here, you can select the different drum patterns, drum grooves, according to intensity and complexity. So this is for intensity. And then push this again for the variations. And then to scroll through the different styles, use the left scroll wheel. Okay, so that's just a straight up guitar tone. The Dual Loop Stereo also has onboard effects that caters to solo loop performers. Now let me show you that real quick. Scroll to parameters and then effects right there. So there is an octaver, because like right now I'm playing guitar and I want to add a bass part. And then next up is a boost that you can activate once you have your rhythm bed going and you want your lead parts to stand out. Next up is a basic cab sim. Now, if you're using a multi-effects of some sort, like the NUX Trident that has amp and cab modeling, you don't really need this. But for this video, so I can show you guys how it works, I am using my new signature pedal, the DBD. This is a straight up distortion pedal with a boosted delay on the other side. No onboard amp or cab simulation. So if I turn the cab off, you get that direct sound, and with the distortion. No. Okay, with the cab on, it works much better. So if you're a live loop artist with just basic guitar pedals, this cab sim is a lifesaver. And then finally, we have reverb, which you can either assign to the drum mix or to your microphone. Now, I have my shotgun microphone actually hooked up to the Dual Loop Stereo. And if I turn on the reverb, hey, sound check, mic check, now I can sing. I'm not gonna do that though. So I'm just gonna turn it off and I will just use this mic as my voiceover mic. Now, as you saw earlier, I'm able to control the effects using the external 2-button foot switch, which you can set in the parameter menus. So right there, do all that good stuff. I have it preset. Okay. It's been a while since I've been looping. You can operate the Dual Loop Stereo as a standard looper pedal. Hit the button to record your first loop, hit it again to play it back, hit it again to overdub, and if you make a mistake, just hold on the button to clear your last overdub. Now this row of knobs right here lets you control the volumes of your drum machine and your tracks. And now that we have parts A and B, we can start jamming over our 2-part loop. Now I did mention presets, so I can actually save what I just put together quickly for later jamming. So let's hit the save button and then save that again. So now those loops are now stored on the Dual Loop Stereo for later jamming, or when I hook it up to my computer, I can actually export those loop files to further develop in my DAW. Okay, so now let me show you A+B Sync mode. Okay, so loop mode, scroll to A+B Sync and hit select. And now the light goes green, bringing us to sync mode. Okay, so for sync mode, we have two tracks that are synced to a single drum track. Let's play around with that. Okay, I'm gonna choose a funk drum pattern. Let's do that. Now I'm gonna record my basic rhythm track onto track 1. Okay, so here's what's happening. The buttons now take on different functions. So the leftmost button is your record and play button. The middle button now lets you select between track 1 and track 2. And then the control button is still my, stop and clear button. So let's say I select track 1, right? And hit play, and you will hear my basic, foundation rhythm tracks. So drums, bass, and slinky rhythm guitar. Now, if I choose track 2, right, and hit the play button, you hear just the second, chinky guitar part without my foundational track. So basically, I'm just playing track 2 with the drum machine. Now, if I play that part, switch back to track 1, hit play, now let me take out track 2. Put it back in. So the quick double press pauses that part or that track, and then hit play again, and it brings it back into the whole loop. Now to tell if you're on track 1 or track 2, hit the middle button. Green is track 1, red is track 2. So this is great when you're live looping and you want to fly parts in and out during your live performance. Now we're on preset 99. I want to save this for later, so hit save and hit save again. And now it's there for future reference. Now the third mode of the Dual Loop Stereo is gig mode, which is basically A-B split without the drum machine. And you've actually seen me use it already at the beginning of this video when I played back my intro theme song. So what I did was take my backing track for my theme song, ran it through the NUX format converter, and made sure it output to 32-bit float, 44.1 kilohertz stereo. Those are the wave file properties that you can play back on the Dual Loop Stereo. So in this application, I'm actually using the Dual Loop Stereo as a playback device, not just as a loop pedal. And as I mentioned earlier, you can load up to a 90-minute length stereo wave file on a single track, which is pretty much like, you know, an entire show. So you can sequence all your backing tracks onto a single stereo wave file, load it onto the Dual Loop Stereo, and use this as a playback machine at the end of your pedal board and play your entire show that way. And if you hit dub instead of just play, then this pedal is also your live recorder. Okay, now let's go to another preset. So for this preset, I have loaded 2 different drum loops. So one for the A part, and a crunchier version of that same drum loop for the B part. Okay, so let's see what comes out. Wish me luck. Okay, I made a mistake. Now, you have to be careful about clearing your loops when you have preloaded loops in there, because it will erase everything. It's a good thing that this is saved as a preset, so I can just go out of the preset and go back in. And then the loops magically reappear. So let's try this again, shall we? Now, of course, this would be so much easier if I were using my feet to control everything, but I wanted to show you guys all the fine details. So, yes, give me a little bit of leeway. Now, let me show you how to import and export wave files to and from the Dual Loop Stereo. Go into Settings, go to USB, and then select Import Export Wave Files. Now here's the clunky part of this whole process. After you select Import Export function, you have to restart the Dual Loop Stereo. Then once you see this screen, the Dual Loop Stereo will show up as an external hard drive on your computer. Okay, so click on NUX Looper, and then let's expand this folder right here, and you will see 3 subfolders: Data, GIF, and Wave. We'll focus on Wave. And then the subfolders in the Wave folder correspond to the presets on the Dual Loop Stereo. First part of the file name is the preset number, 001, 002, and so on and so forth. And then _1 is track 1, _2 is track 2. Now, in my course of testing, I found that imported wave loops work best in gig mode. So before you even transfer your wave loop files to the Dual Loop Stereo, you have to save that specific preset in the proper mode. So right now I have preset 6 in A/B split. So we are going to go to gig mode, right? Select that, and then make sure to save first. Now we can load our wave loops into this preset. And then from here on in, it's all just drag and drop. So let me choose, let's say preset 6, right? And then I'm gonna drag this wave file right here, go it over there. And then, let's see, that was track 1. Now let's go to track 2, grab the other wave file, and that's pretty much it. And of course, this is all assuming that you've already run your wave files through the NUX format converter and making sure that they are 32-bit float, 44.1 kilohertz stereo. And then to export your recorded loop files on the Dual Loop Stereo, you just reverse the process. So I recorded something on preset 1. So open that folder and just drag that wave file onto your computer. Now let's check the exported wave loops. Okay, I am ready to drag this onto my DAW to, further enhance and work on the idea. Now, before we leave the import and export function, let me show you something fun. The GIF folder holds the startup graphic for the Dual Loop Stereo, and you can actually put your very own startup graphic in, as I have did with mine. Okay, so here's the graphic that I put together. And these are the dimensions that you need. 960 by 376 RGB. Now the Dual Loop Stereo already has a stock user GIF. So what we're going to do is we're just going to replace that. So I'm going to drag it onto the GIF folder and replace. And now that is in there. So as long as you set the Dual Loop Stereo as such, you will see your graphic every time it boots up. Okay, now that we're all done, we're going to go back into performance mode. So this is important. You have to unmount the Dual Loop Stereo from your computer because right now it is basically an external hard drive. Okay, there we go. Now we get back to the clunky part. We have to restart it, right? And make sure that the USB is not plugged in. Okay, there's my graphic. Then we're going to go back into the USB options and set it up properly. So now I'm going to go back to USB audio stream. There you go. Now, one thing you have to be careful of when importing wave loop files onto the Dual Loop Stereo is the gain of the file itself. So these drum loops are from Yurtrock, and these are normalized to around 0 dB. So nice and hot. Great for your DAW, but too hot for the Dual Loop Stereo. In fact, here is a preset with those files loaded without any gain adjustments. Yeah, nice and loud. At this point, you're not even going to hear my guitar. So I played around with the gain settings and I settled on around, lowering it to -12 to -15 dB. This way I have more headroom to play with as far as the ratio of guitar to loop levels go. Okay, so here are my thoughts on the NUX Dual Loop Stereo pedal. As it is right now, it has the potential to be the essential standalone looper pedal that you can stick at the end of your pedal board. You can use the onboard drum machine and dual loop engines to build up backing tracks for fun practice or even, improvise live looping. And if you're not too crazy about the drum sounds, you can import your own favorite loop files to play over, or even import entire backing tracks to play over, or even your entire set. It has enough storage on board. And you can use it as a standalone audio recorder when you just want to noodle away and not fire up your computer or DAW. And finally, it works great as an audio interface that you can plug into your computer or any OTG equipped, phone or action camera. However, since this is the pre-release version, I do have some suggestions to make it better. Okay, first up is with the A/B split mode. Right now, the way the dual loop stereo is set up, I have to record a loop before I can assign a drum machine track to it. Because as it is, the drum style defaults to a click track that you can hear right now. And if I try to edit it to, let's say, a beat, right? And then I click the other parameter, go to drum 2, and select another drum pattern. I would assume that they are already tied to the tracks. However, when I get to track 1, I go back to the click track. It's like I didn't even select the drum patterns at all. And if I go to track 2, same thing. So my first suggestion is to be able to save the drum machine patterns to their respective tracks even before recording a loop. That way, when I'm preparing for a gig, I can choose and assign the different drum patterns to each track and save them to the preset without having to record a loop yet. That also allows me to have the live loop performance as a spontaneous event. Now, the next suggestion is with the levels of the drum machine patterns. I get that it's trying to be dynamic. However, it's just plain uneven at this point. So let me show you. So I'm going to choose a different pattern. So right now, all you're hearing is kick drum and hi-hat, and the snare is buried way in the mix. And this is with the drum volume turned all the way up. And if I go back into the drum pattern menu, you will also see that this is the highest intensity version of that pattern. So if I lower the intensity, yeah, so at this point, it's pretty much all hi-hat. Now with the side stick is actually louder than the snare. So yeah, the drum machine part needs a little more refinement. That way everything is nice and even and, you know, much more fun to play along to. My next suggestion concerns the display, which is nice and colorful and easy to read. However, I wish there was a way to name the presets. That way I can associate the loops that I create to something more personal, as opposed to trying to remember if, you know, I saved it to preset 33 or 35 or 67. Now, at the time of filming this video, my dual loop stereo only came with this quick guide booklet, not the full manual. So I was not able to mess around with the MIDI functions since I don't have the MIDI mapping. But the quick start guide promises full MIDI implementation. So when the full manual comes out, I hope that we are able to control a lot of the parameters and assign them to an external controller. Even though the included 2-button foot switch is really handy to control the onboard effects, personally, I would need at least 3 buttons. That way I can control, you know, the bass function, the boost function, and the reverb function for the, for the microphone. As any live performer would attest, it's hard to talk to your audience with a big vocal reverb going on at the same time. So in a live use, I would turn off the reverb, talk to the audience, make my spiels that way, and then turn it back on when time comes to perform again and sing some tunes. Now, my last nitpick is with regards to the USB function. It's a little annoying to switch between USB audio streaming mode and file import and export mode, because you have to get into it from the menu and then select whether it's import export or audio streaming. And then when you change USB modes, you have to power down and power the unit back up. Yeah, so it's a little cumbersome. I'm not sure if there's a fix to make the transition smoother, but it is something you have to keep in mind when working with the Dual Loop Stereo. Okay, there you have it. That is the Dual Loop Stereo, the latest flagship looper pedal from NUX. Again, big thanks to NUX for sponsoring this video and for giving me free reign in presenting the Dual Loop Stereo pedal to all you guys. As always, I will put my affiliate links in the video description. So please use these links to go gear shopping, and thank you for your extra support. Okay, here's a couple of videos that YouTube thinks you will like, so click to watch, then go grab your guitar and play something. You all know the drill. Practice makes perfecto. Cheers, guys.